welcome to the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board meeting for this Friday. It's actually an extraordinary meeting. Friday the 7th of November. I will ask Member Hindle to open us with a karakia, please.
Leonoi. Whakatapa te hau ki uru, whakatapa te hau ki tuna. He mākina kina kilta, he mai karaka taratara kita. E hia i te atakura, e teo, e toka, e hauhu, te hi warrior.
Kia ora, Jane. Right, just acknowledging our board members, we have Councillor Allen with us on the board. She has not been sworn into the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board yet, so she's sitting at the table with speaking rights and non-voting rights today until 27th of this month when we meet again. Jane, would you like to just introduce yourself?
Oh, morena tātou, ko Jane Hindle tapu ingoa. I'm Jane Hindle and I am the member for Kororau, Russell, Oakboa and Places South.
Right, Belinda Ward, I'm your chair for the day and I represent the Pahi Waitangi subdivision.
Kia ora, ko Joe Alexander, toko ingoa. So I'm Joe Alexander and I'm representing the Kiri Whangaroa community on the community board.
Kia ora, Joe. And online we have Dane. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Kia ora all, Dane here from the Kiri subdivision. Good to see you all.
Right, and I would like to acknowledge also member-elect Kori Atama, who is our Whangaroa Kaio representative. Do we have apologies from Kori for today?
I've been trying to get hold of him, but I've been able to.
Anyway, here's a member-elect. He is also not sworn in, so if he were in the room, he would be here with speaking rights only for today. We'll move into apologies. I have apologies from Councillor Anne Court. I also have apologies from Deputy Chair Tyler Bamba and Roddy Hapatipi Hema, who is on his way and may join us before we finish. So I think I've covered everybody new. So with that, moving on to any conflicts of interest with this item? No public formal deputation, so we'll move straight into item 6.1. That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approved to consider agenda item 6.2 funding application, Kiri Street Party request for change and extraordinary emergency meeting, noting the urgency and the chairperson's explanation pursuant to section A7 of the Local Government Official Information and Meeting Act 1987 and standing orders. I will move. Do I have a second?
I'm happy to second.
Thank you. Joe.
Did you go through this?
And Dane.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Just the reason why we're holding this meeting. The reason why this item is on our agenda and cannot be deferred to the next ordinary meeting schedule for the 27th of November 2025 is due to the event occurring on the 22nd of November 2025. So we need to deal with this straight away. So any further discussion around that? I'll put that to the vote. All those in support? The recommendation? Yes. To take the extraordinary item, Jane? Yes. Carried.
Sorry.
Right, moving on to item 6.2. We have the recommendation that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approve funds in the amount of $4,807 plus GST if applicable, be transferred to the old packhouse market for use at the replacement, and I have added the words venue for the Kiri Street Party event on the 22nd November 2025, subject to a liquor licence being obtained. If the event is unable to go ahead, the funds are to be returned to the board for reallocation in the 2025 to 2026 financial year. Do I have a mover?
I'm happy to move that.
Thank you, Joe. Seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. I'll take you. Before we go into a discussion on this, I have online the original applicant, Jackie Sanders. Welcome, Jackie. And Jackie is Jackman Entertainment, who made the original application to us at the board. And the other applicant, Judy Hyland, the alternative venue holder, so online with us from the old pack house in Kirikiri. Jackie, before we go into discussion, would you just briefly like to fill the board in? You're aware we have some new members too, just as to where we're at with this and why you're not going ahead with it basically, and how you're looking to resolve it.
Oh, kia ora koutou. So I've been looking after the street party for the last 5 years, and the 2 years previous to that, I helped the committee and then the then Kirikiri District Business Association, who had kind of like dropped out of running it. It was run by a committee. So I helped them for 2 years. At the end of that 2 years, there was some losses that those volunteers didn't want to keep absorbing. So we all shared those losses, and then they asked me if I would take over the financial risk, given that at that time there wasn't a Kirikiri Business Association. And as I'd done 2 years on it, I thought it was a fantastic community event. I said, yes, I would. And so, yes, so for the last 5 years, I have taken on all the responsibility for applying for sponsorships and funding and doing all the organisation. And if we lose money, which has been up to $10,000 1 year, I cover that as my give back to the community. And yeah, so, you know, sort of like we've had quite a few successful ones within the street. And this year I'd applied to 3 funding pots and also to various sponsors, but we were only successful in getting the community board contribution, which was great, and then we still retained the Barfoot and Thompson sponsorship, but it was, you know, less than half of what we'd had in previous years. So we need to ensure that we can cover all the costs, which are around sort of like, you know, sort of around $60,000 in costs. And it can be variable because there's always different things that come up each year, and there's increasing costs of everything. So we, you know, so like we have to ensure that we have probably at least $20,000 to $25,000 worth of funding and sponsorship. The rest is made up by ticket entry fees, and then also we take, you know, sort of a site fee from all the vendors, or like with the alcohol ones, we usually take a percentage, which everybody thinks is fairer, and we cover all the costs of everything else. So this year we, like I say, we were unsuccessful in getting all the funding that we thought we would get. Sponsorship was very hard this year. We also had, you know, an incredibly full October. I obviously was running Save a Northland and putting that together, and we had almost 60 events that I was responsible for marketing, and 6 of those events were actually events that we were actively involved in supporting, such as getting events over to the Hokianga and more up to the far north. So that was quite a you know, sort of major drain on time. So this year we had put everything in it early for the street party. Everything, the traffic management was all signed off on the 3rd of September, and everything was booked. We'd spent quite a long time working with Bald Angels because we had intended originally to have the big shave at the street party for something different this year, but that became a little bit difficult in terms of logistics because we needed somewhere to hold 500 people, and we started getting a bit worried about wind and if it got called off. So we decided that it was better if they probably went to the Turner Centre for that. So they timed it so that was finishing and people could come to the street party. But then we were just bombarded with extra paperwork and things to sort for the council for the National Māori Housing Conference. It soaked up a lot of time, a lot of extra cost. It was just leaving me without enough time to actually devote to all of these projects. The fact that I didn't have the sort of enough funding, and then I guess, sort of the fact that the Brynderwins is also going to be closed, just basically putting all those factors into the mix, it just becomes the point where I think I can't afford this year to contribute $10,000 to the local community again. I keep coming in and stepping in and saving some events like this. I've done it for Matariki in the past when, paying for the fireworks myself one year, and that weren't, when enough funding wasn't secured. So I just couldn't do it this year. So made that decision that this year is just going to be a hiatus year, and we'll look at it again next year. Obviously, I won't have things like the National Māori Housing Conference next year. But then after making that decision, Judy has reached out to say that maybe this is an alternative option, and sort of, and that we can share that load of organising it. We've got a venue, means that we could make it free. Right, charge. So do you want to talk as well about?
Can I just explain about my association with the street party and why I want to save it? None of you are probably aware that Warwick and I held the first after event function at the RSA in 2007, I think it was, just after we moved up here, and I'd run the event and there was nothing happening afterwards. So we actually put on an after event party at the RSA way back then. And then I was part of the first committee that was instrumental with the accommodation providers in setting up the first street party. And so I just have a connection with it. I was president of the Business Association for about 5 years, and until I stepped down, we had a committee that was really functional and worked well to keep the event going. But after that, it fell over and Jackie stepped in. I was too busy at that stage to have anything to do with it. But I just see a way of helping it this year continue. And I'd like to be part on a committee in the future that can help it carry on being in the street, if that's what the Kerikeri Business Association want. I'm open to wherever it is going to be. I just would like it to see it continue. So we just thought having it here was a sort of less stressful option just to keep it going. And that's why I stepped in. I can perfectly understand your concerns about the funding and the money and where it's going to go. I don't care if I don't make any money. I don't expect to make any money out of this event, but I do want to know that our power is covered and any of the infrastructure that we're putting in place are covered. We just don't want to lose money. And I have seen Jackie lose money in the past. So that's from my point of view.
Well, Jody and Jackie, thank you for that. If you just hang there in case there's any questions for you, I'd really appreciate that. In the meantime, I think we're very familiar, all of us as local residents, how this annual event has run over the years, many years. I think about, is this the 17th, 18th, 17th?
Something like that.
Yeah, so we'll just move into our discussion. And I'd just like to acknowledge member Kore Atama, member-elect, who also has not been sworn in yet, who will be joining in the conversation should he choose to do so, but he will not be voting today. Kia ora, Kore. Jo, as mover, would you like to speak to this first?
Thank you, Chair. So I think there's probably 3 points that I want to table. The first is I'm focusing specifically in moving the motion on two of the well-beings, economic and social. Like, it's quite evident from the original proposal that it delivers a huge economic benefit to Kerikeri and the wider community, like with over 2,000 actual participants, and then if you add their whānau onto that as well. And that would include people not just from the local area, but from outside the area. And I know that myself, like I'm a runner and I attend events all over the country. So runners do go to specific events. And then it provides the social well-being as well. Given it has been going for 17 years, it's quite a well-recognised event and brings the community together. So I think that's my first point, is around the well-beings. The second is, I do acknowledge that it's not ideal that it's not in the CBD area of Kerikeri. That would be better, but it's still in a location that is not too far away. If you finished a race, you could literally crawl down the road. and it has got great parking there and free parking, which is a benefit. People don't have to worry about whether they're going to get in with that parking ticket. And then thirdly, and kind of linking to my earlier comment about being a runner, it's expected. Like when you go to these running events, it's an expected part of the whole experience. And I feel that we will damage the reputation of the marathon event itself if we don't add on a social activity at the end of it. The runners who are coming from other locations will think it's weird that we're not offering some kind of hospitality at the end of it. So those are my 3 points.
Thank you for that, Jo. Dane, as seconder, would you like to speak to this?
Sorry, yeah, I was just on mute there. Yeah, so I've had a lot of feedback through the town, just like the roller coaster of it being on and off, and there seems to be a lot of support. And there's been quite a few posts on social media about this, and just on the insights, I'm an admin of a large group, and I can see that there's some of these posts are getting 7,000, 8,000 people looking at this event, and seems to be a lot of support behind it with the comments. And I just want to ask Judy, will this sort of be like the Black Seeds event? Will it be like that layout, and it'll be kid-friendly security, and it'll be like that?
Well, it's going to be a free event, and there won't be any fencing. And we don't really want to use the inside of the building because, it's a last minute thing and it's just too disruptive for the stall holders that are inside the building. But the layout that you put forward, the layout, hey?
Well, still using the stage for the bands?
Yeah, the main stage,
so the main stage where we had the Black Seeds there, and sort of just like a nice seated open area there. And then we were round on the front where next to the cafe, but we were going to put the DJ that we had booked for the street party was going to go in there, and we're going to put some lights and stuff in there. So there's kind of 2 sides to the event with all the food and bar in between.
Yep. And there'll be security and all that.
Security, extra toilets as well, because we definitely need those, because there's not we won't be using
the inside toilet, so we're going to have a lot more portaloos, and we do want more security because we don't have the fencing and we need to keep everybody safe. Also, if we don't get the liquor license, we'll still go ahead. We'll just make it a non-alcohol event, but I don't know how we'll fund it though if we aren't selling alcohol, because that's going to be a major part of the funding. I know that sounds bad, but it's just how life is.
Economic reality.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
None from me, thanks.
I'll open to the floor, Jane.
Yes, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge Jackie and Judy for their efforts in this event. I have to be honest, I'm not particularly keen on the community board funding these kind of things, but I think it's really interesting to hear the perspective from Jo, and that's actually really helpful to understand kind of nature. I'm not a runner, so I don't know what it's like after the event, and I don't know what the expectations are. My concern is that we have a budget that outlines a whole bunch of stuff, and obviously the budget is going to be very different with the new arrangements, and so it's hard for me to kind of make a decision based on the evidence when we haven't really got the right information to support your application. So have you got some sense of what the costs are likely to be, Judy or Jackie, and how it's going to be broken up?
Yeah, there was obviously we're not going to have as much income we're not going to have any ticket income if it's a free event. So the big costs that we're taking out are the traffic management, and the security can be reduced because we're not in that sort of like street environment. If we're not doing the fencing and not doing 3 stages, we're reducing the costs. So it's not going to be $60,000 worth of costs, but we did look at, what we are going to.
So we've got, just from my point of view, so we've got the paramedics. So there's $300. We'll have the portaloos, which you budgeted. How much did you budget for the portaloos? It was
probably going to be about $2,000 for those.
For the portaloos. Then we'll have security, which you told me was going to be about $1,000.
No, it's probably going to be more than that. Oh. So yeah, because so it was more like sort of $1,700.
Okay.
Right. And sorry, that was $1,300, and the toilets were just under $2,000.
Okay, so security $1,300, toilets $1,700, the paramedics are $300. What else are we going to have?
Yeah, well, it's just like, then just having some staff on board, if we can get some volunteers, that would be great, but we can't always rely on them. So we do need people to manage safely into like the car parking area and making sure that people coming into the sort of like on the market days, but it could,
And then we'll have the bands, the music to pay for,
the sound system.
The sound system, yeah. The rubbish
cleanup.
Another cost will be the rubbish.
So just interrupting you there, Judy, and in the interest of time, we do have your original costings for the Kitty Kitty Street Party. And I see that traffic management obviously is always a huge one. So you'll be able to obviously absorb some of the additional security and things there, and additional portaloos. We don't have a map with the application of the pack house property, but we are all familiar, I'm sure, with the actual premises and where you're wanting to place everything. So I get what Jane is looking for is any additional costs.
Well, just trying to understand what we're being asked to cover. And the other,
like it would still be for the same things that we'd asked for.
3 items, yeah.
But Jo, what would be the impact if we didn't calculate?
It would be in those 2 areas. Thanks for the question, Jane. Economic, clearly a wider impact on the local community, because runners will go in with their whānau into an event like that and then spend widely, stay in the local area, go to the local restaurants. And if there's an event to capture them at the end of it, which I've often done, I've stayed around, wanted to have a few drinks and then stayed the night in that location. So you potentially lose the economic benefit of a wider group of people staying in the local area. Or even further, like I've gone all the way down to Taupo or further down to...
Yeah, they come up, they like to stay the weekends anyway.
Yes.
That's my point. With or without a party.
But the second is the social. Like there's a sense of euphoria as you complete an event, that you want to go on and enjoy the hospitality and be part of that local community. Like when I go down and do, sorry to be self-referencing it, but
well, I indulge this.
When I've done them in Kinloch or places like that, they have a nice street party in the same domain area there, and you feel like you're part of the Kinloch community for the next, a couple of hours that you're there, and you get a flavour of what that area in New Zealand is like. So it helps people to understand a local area, as well as you going there you're not just going there and just cleanly and coldly doing an event. You're actually absorbing the local spirit of that community and visiting it because you kind of want to do that as well. So, but that's my personal experience of it, Jane.
It's helpful because
Yes.
I have no experience of it.
Can I just
So
add
just,
one thing?
you'll have a right of Joe at the end. Chris. Jane, have you finished? Anything else? So since the meeting began, we've had member Tyler Bamber, Deputy Chair, join us, who's very familiar with this event, and also member Roddy Hapati Pihema. Welcome to you both. Tyler, would you like to speak to this? It's an area.
My question mainly, and you might have covered it, apologies for my lateness, guys. Have you had any communication with the local business association or just local businesses in general around whether or not they still feel like there's economic or benefit or they still support this event happening at the Pack House?
We've actually got a letter of support from the Kerikeri District Business Association saying that they would like to. Do you want to read it?
Shall I read it to you?
Sure. Is it very long?
Is it lengthy?
Well, you can paraphrase it.
It is quite long.
It is quite long.
Supportive, that's all we need to know.
I guess my
And can I just say one thing, please? Don't forget the small business owners, the foodies who will be here and make some money from the event. And then, they spend money on other things. So it does help the local business community, even if it's not in the town. You've still got all those food operators, those small entrepreneurs who are going to benefit from it.
Totally. So you've still got the same vendors basically coming along up to the Pack House as what you would have had at the street party?
Not as many because we don't expect as many people.
Yeah, gotcha.
So there'll be things like we won't have the Curry Kings and the Cafe Jerusalems that usually pop out onto the street, and because we're just there, and we probably won't have those bigger sort of Asian foodies that sometimes come in to make sure that we've got plenty of food for the numbers, but it will be all the good local ones that are quite often here at the Pack House anyway. So
there will be some of your others as well.
Yeah, there will be some of them. But so it definitely, sort of in terms of economic benefit, it's like Judy said, there's sort of the foodies do incredibly well, and in some years, if we've got a packed street, they're taking between $5,000 and $7,000, sort of that night.
Mm.
They should respond. Thanks, Jackie. Through the chair, please. Roddy, have you finished, Tyler? Roddy, do you have any comments or questions for the ladies behind you?
I think the reason is always supported it's mainly because it gives us an opportunity to, as a bridge, showcase our different communities. And I think when Ben was here, he spoke of the importance of, I suppose, reaching further abroad and bringing people into our community. Because ultimately, when we create events like this and people from out of our communities come here, they go back to their communities further away from us and they start speaking about it. That actually creates a positive trend across the people that they want to agree with.
Do you want to add anything?
Just supporting in support of it, and there is the direct impact of the stallholders and the foodies and the ACOM. Then the ACOM needs to get, potentially more resources, so the indirect impact on our local economy, and understanding as well that our whānau are really feeling the impacts of a downturn in our economy. And I think, if we are to advocate for the interests of our economy, for our community, then these types of events, though they may be, things like the budget needs to be amended and what sort of numbers will it be now that the venue's different. Those things, do need to be fleshed out and discussed. But overall, the overall benefit to not only Kirikiri but the far north is something that our people need at the moment.
Well, thank you for that input. Corey, do you want to make any comment? I'm sure you're familiar with the street party or the half marathon. Really, it's the event is that it was born off the back of. So.
Yeah, tūtai mihi, aku ki a koe, Jackie. So it's part of my background was around music and entertainment. Way back in the day when, I'm sure my age, but when the half marathon first started, we had what was the Be Free Festival that coincided with it, which became the after party because we had set up a stage in the domain and that was showcasing young talent coming through. So I've sort of watched it evolve over the years, and just to cut to the chase, because I understand everything there, Jackie, like we know the industry and what it takes to hold a festival. This is a festival that's being coordinated, and just to do the logistics and then to write the run sheet is a pain in the backside, eh, Jackson? So, you know, maybe he can't take that yeah. But in saying that, I'm listening and I understand that we've only, you know, if we're drawing the line, a suggestion might be that we use that's under council's, what shall I say, under our kahuri, or under the umbrella of the councillors, the Turner Centre would cut everything. So, and it would be purposely, you know, set up. The thing to it though is, like, and I apologise because I'm listening and because I have to act. I just text Jerry and asked him if there was anything on at the centre at the same time. We've got all those costs. The toilets, you know, but the band will still have to be, you know, funded, Jackie. And but that's just a suggestion. Sorry, I'm just talking to what's in front of me. But to cover that aspect of what you need to actually get it and to be able to service our manuhiri that are coming into our takiwa. It also provides an opportunity for Matu Kipa and Ngāti Rehia to hold a pōwhiri and to bring the whānau into the Turner Centre, if you know what I mean. Jerry's all about it. It'll be beautiful for the town if that's what the budget sort of confines us to at the moment as a suggestion. So if that's a suggestion I can put to the table there, so yeah.
I mean, that would be kia ora, Corey. That would be, you know, fantastic. I think, you know, sort of I've talked to Joey quite a bit about, you know, sort of what could be done. I think our thoughts were that we couldn't fit as many people. There'd be a capacity limit at the Turn Centre. That would be the main problem. You know, because we couldn't fit over 1,000 people into it.
I'm going to interrupt you there, Jackie, because we do have the Chambers is booked. A discussion for another day moving forward. I'm sure the board's happy to sit down with you and your local board, your new board members and subdivision members and discuss the potential options around future venues. Thank you, Corey, for that. Definitely we need to have a better plan moving forward. And there is also room in our policy to look at, with annual events, to look at funding things over the triennium so we don't have to have you coming back to us and working on this dilemma. The board's familiar with what's going on. We don't really use that option in our policy like we should do. So my only question to you was in relation to transport. Will the buses still be coming? There's amazing car parking there that we don't have in the CBD, which is a plus, but will the buses still be running from, you know, because the infrastructure is predominantly Pioneer Russell, we know that Kitty does have some. Will there still be the bus, is my question.
We always put the shuttle on. We do the loop from Waipapa round Kapiro, and we just loop it. So we can still absolutely run that. So it's another cost because nobody ever books it. So it's just like
I think we should also put a bus on at the end going from here into town.
Just into town. Yeah. So
those are things you can tweak as the date comes closer, but just in relation from a board perspective, historically, you know, we always look at the drink driving and also the fact that a lot of people will be coming back to Paihe to freshen up and go back over to the event. So that's answered my question. I'll just go to Joe for right of reply as mover. Do you want to Someone say?
Well, I'd like to acknowledge what a really fantastic koro we just had. It was really interesting. It's not, there's aspects about this that are not ideal, which is probably why it's an extraordinary meeting. But overall, I'm agnostic as to the alternative venue, so long as it meets the criteria. That's a safe place to have the event and meets all the local requirements. But more than anything, I think I'm just focused on ensuring we don't take something away from the local community. We retain something that has some value to the local community.
All right, thank you, Jo. So with that, Jo, you moved the recommendation, Dane, you seconded it. If you're both happy, there is an amendment that needs to be made to this recommendation, which will be to remove the line subject to a liquor licence being obtained, as we've heard in the discussion, that this event will go ahead with or without a liquor licence. So if you two are happy with that, to remove that out of the recommendation, I will go ahead and put this to the vote.
Okay.
Happy with that, Dane? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so moved by Jo, seconded by Dane. The recommendation, would you like me to reread it? You two went in the room that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approved funds in the amount of $4,807 plus GST if applicable be transferred to the Old Packhouse Market for the use at the replacement venue for the Kitty Kitty Street Party event on the 22nd of November 2025. If the event is unable to go ahead, the funds are to be returned to the board for reallocation in the 2025-2026 financial year. I will put that to the vote. All those in support, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. So 5 in support, and Jane is abstaining. So that is carried. That's the end of our business for today. Thank you everybody for your time. Thank you, Jackie and Judy, for making yourselves available to answer questions. I knew there were early questions in there for you. We all had sort of, what was going on in our head, and also just reassuring ourselves with the change of venue and things around the costings and supplies. And I didn't acknowledge the fact that your suppliers are local Kaikohe based. Apologies for that. Something we usually like to look at where your suppliers are coming from for the portaloos and marquees and things. So some thumbs up for that. With that, I'll ask Member Jane Hindle to close us with a karakia. And thank you.